Alright guys, so we wanted to give Duncan a little bit of a spotlight here because he has been ever so kind to always be willing to do all sorts of turbo testing with us and is a fan of anything we do. Obviously we're good friends through welds, we're good friends through these pickups, pretty much everything. We talk pretty often, so Duncan sent out a turbo to Andy.
Yeah, so this is his new T4 86 S300 housing. This one specifically is a 69 73.5 turbine wheel. In comparison to that, I guess it's rather similar.
Yes.
That's a what, 7186?
Yeah. 7186 10 T4.
Yeah, also in a Borg housing. I don't know if they saw how that drove on this when it was still mechanical.
I think there was a video clip, but I don't know, a big difference here is obvious. I mean, there's lots of difference between those two, but the big difference between this and a normal S369 obviously is the housing, but also turbine wheel.
This is also a 9-blade. So.
Yeah, 9-blade Garrett style turbine wheel, much more gooder.
Much gooder, yes. In my opinion, all of the S300 turbine wheel options are junk. So I have high hopes for this unit, and this one has a, take a peek down here, it's got a internal gate. That is a 31mm unit, and it is massive.
Yeah.
We can probably drop a picture in there of it.
Yeah, let's see, I think I have some pictures. I don't know if I'll be able to get this thing back in there. But that's what makes this thing so effective.
The hope for this, and by design, it should, in theory, eliminate the need for a manifold gate.
Yes.
So this would especially shine in a compound setup or in a nitrous application. We're getting off. Where driving the atmosphere charger is important. This will do that in a compact package.
Yep.
In theory.
So you guys saw where I showed you this whole boss here is the gate. So it's very, I would say it's a lot more efficient with how the flow comes into the gate out of the manifold as well. But a 31mm gate is huge, and like Andy mentioned, this I would really like to see this in comparison, just straight comparison with a gate on the manifold, and then swap this on and just see what kind of control you've got.
So this is still undivided, but it's an open housing.
Yes, it's a single scroll.
You don't lose, again, this is all in theory, we haven't drove the truck yet, but in theory you won't lose your bottom end. Now this is a big compressor wheel for this specific fuel setup, but in theory you won't have the flow disruption of a manifold gate as we've learned with yours. So.
Because that is a thing. There is some sort of turbulence that is created at the foot of the manifold whenever you put a manifold gate on your setup. So this would hopefully remedy that. Hopefully, I don't know, like we've mentioned, this is not a divided turbine housing. That is divided and non-gated, but this is a single scroll, which typically single scrolls do lose some bottom end if they are big. Obviously, you can't compare them straight across because a 9cm hull set is a single scroll and it's like snappy as can be, but it's because it's like the equivalent of a .63-ish AR housing, and this is .86. So like this is huge.
I think it should be noted that this is not, if you're towing trailers every day with a 12 valve, this is not the turbo for you. Duncan's
absolutely
got other
not.
options that are better for that.
Yep.
This is more geared towards the racing world, if you will, or the guys that are trying to do cool stuff, 8,000-9,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
So
On an S300 frame.
9mm compressor, S300 frame.
Yeah. Instead of a 467, this thing should run circles around something like that.
I like to push my things outside of efficiency range.
Yeah. So just a little plug there for Duncan. As Andy mentioned, there's definitely applications for this. If you want one of these, you're probably after something higher horsepower. Duncan has other turbos to fit your needs if you want to go tow, like Ryan Walker's truck that has a little 64mm stock appearing HX35 that makes right at 608 horsepower. That's snappy as can be.
This is offered in a
68 turbine.
Yeah.
Oh, compressor.
Turbine options are 60, 68, 71, and this turbine we'll call it a 74. Then there's a 64.5, the 69, I believe, a 63.
I think he does the 63, yeah. 63, 64 and a half, and a 69, so.
And send him to Frank. Make him look shiny.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to go ahead. I will, this time, drop a picture of Frank's work of this stainless turbine housing, because that's another thing to keep in mind. It's not, this turbine housing is not cast like this. This is a stainless turbine housing. Frank can drop the sauce on that, as you guys are seeing in the clips. But would turn out nice, especially if you did front half and back half, and then you had a polished manifold. Frank did one of those too. I'll drop that in there. So Duncan and Frank can hook you up. If you want that, you could quite literally just tell Duncan that, and he will have it done, because all of the stuff that is polished for Duncan as far as turbos go, Frank does it. So Duncan will just go ahead and ship it to Frank, have it done, and it'll show up at your door ready to rock, looking really good. So big shout out to Dunk. We are not S300 fanboys at all. We do not really like BorgWarner particularly. So this is different, but this larger frame hull set, which Duncan calls his HE500, is also very, very cool. It's very unique. You're not going to find these really anywhere.
It's also worth adding that little guy probably went 10 miles with no oil.
Yeah, this is also true. So he's going to send out a rebuild kit, and we're going to just go through it and make sure it's good to go before we throw it back on a truck to do some testing. In VE application, this thing was actually fairly snappy on a 24 valve head truck, but this is a 7186 hull set 86 turbine with a BorgWarner T410 housing. So very cool little units, and he has a 70 as well that's a custom compressor wheel, but he says it's not as snappy as the 71, which it makes sense whenever you look at it. The tip heights and stuff are different, so.
I think we'll be able to tell once it's on this with the fuel setup on this. So the plan here is to run the 69 with 100% stock pump and get some like daily driving stuff, and beat on it a little bit, see what it'll do with the stock pump. You don't have a dyno in the driveway, so
yeah,
we'll use the butts, but and then compare that directly to this, the 71, in comparison to how it was on this truck with the same engine setup, different fuel setup. So
yeah. So anything you guys need, Duncan can and will hook you up. Look up Fenley Precision Inductions online. His information will be in the description below. And yeah, you can always count on Dunk. He's a weld homie. He's a homie of all sorts. So big frame hull sets, welds, doesn't get much better. And he's dabbling in new stuff, as you see. So go check it out, and see you guys later.